Hey everyone, God bless you. Welcome. Thank you for joining me in another video. We have a very interesting topic for this one, but before we take a dive into our subject matter, subscribe to this channel. Also share this video, like this video. Also, feel free to add a comment. As usual, I appreciate everyone's support of my channel. Now let's get into this very interesting topic of how to successfully deal with problems. I find in this day and age that the self-help and personal development industry is pretty much booming. That is a good thing. That means that there are many people out here who are looking to grow, people out here who are looking to level up and basically do better in life and quote unquote live their best life. That's all great. That's all good. I mean, there are tons of materials out here, online resources, books, podcasts, a billion YouTube videos. I know I have a few floating out there on this subject. That's all great. And I'm also a student of this subject matter, personal development, doing better, being a better human being. And I think this is something that we all should study and learn more about. Great stuff. But in my studies and in my reading of much of this material, I'm finding that there are certain things that I think need to be spoke on more. And that is how to manage problems and how to deal with pain and suffering and how to manage problems better. In this video, my hope and my prayer is that, you can learn something here, and that my aim right now is to basically give you all a few strategies and things to consider when problems do arise, because problem management is part of being a success in life. How well you deal with tragedy, a crisis, issues, because listen, as we live our lives, there's always going to be something. There's always going to be a problem. Even in seasons of time when it's relatively peaceful, there's always going to be something that pops up, whether big, whether small, but we have to learn how to manage these things in order to do well in life. So I have a few strategies, about 5 of them that I want to share with you, and hopefully they'll be a blessing to your life. So when the problems come, and when the storms of life come, and when the issues come, and when something pops up, the first thing that you and I, that we all have to consider is, think about this. When stuff hits the fan, you know what it is. We have to think about what we can control. See, soon as a problem arises, what many people will want to do, they want to put the blame on someone else and point the finger and stress out about things that they can't control. And I think that stress adds more to the problem. That stress sometimes make the issues that we experience bigger than what they are. So when we focus more on what we can control, when we focus more on what we can do, that we know we can do, that could be helpful to solving the problem, I think that will help us along the way into getting a resolution and to managing it better. But what many of us tend to do when we're going through stress, when we're going through issues, is that we focus on the things we can't control. We focus on people's behavior. We focus on what a person did. And keep this in mind, you can't control what people do. We can't control how people think. We can't control what people say. So we can't really focus too much on that. Yes, I know it hurts. Yes, I know that person shouldn't have did what they did or said what they said, but we cannot control it. So the only thing we can really control is our actions and how we react to it and what we decide to do with that. And this technique kind of like takes some of the stress out of it. It's kind of like, not stressing out about the things, not just what people do and say, but, circumstances in the environment. Like I know a ton of people who had planned weddings during the pandemic, during this time, and they had to cancel their weddings. So much stress, and they focused on, some of them, the things that they couldn't control, all of the money that they lost in the venues and, the guest list and, the hopes and their dreams of the perfect wedding or whatever it is, whether it's an event or something. When there's outside circumstances out there, whether it be the weather or a global pandemic that you can't control, try not to focus on that. Think about, what can I do right now that's going to help my situation, that I know I can do, that could be helpful, and that will take some of the stress away. So the number one key to managing a crisis and managing our problems successfully is to focus on what we can control. And when we do that, we can come closer and quicker to a resolution, excuse me. Number 2, take responsibility. I know it's tough when things happen and we see a problem, especially when people are doing things to us, is to instantly want to point the other finger and blame the person. And sometimes people deserve all of that blame. But we need to understand that sometimes when we have problems in life and issues in life, that sometimes some of it is our fault. And we have to do the inner work and the self-examination to figure out what responsibility and what part do I had or did I have in creating this problem, in this situation. And sometimes we do have a hand in that. So I know it's tough, and I have had to learn over the years how to do that, look in the mirror and do that inner work and try to figure out, okay, what part did I have in this issue? And I think by doing that, and I know it's tough for for people to do that. It's not an easy thing to do because we don't want to feel like we're wrong or, that it's our fault. But we have to do that work because you know why? Because it's going to help us to come closer to solving the problem and managing our problems, right? So when we take responsibility, number 1, it helps us to go back to helping us control what we do and fix the behavior and the things that we have done to contribute to that. So if I have the ability and the openness to look at myself and do that self-examination, and I take responsibility for what has happened, then that means that, I'm going to resolve things in a more quicker way. That means that, it gives me the opportunity and the space to change my behavior and to break certain paradigms and certain patterns that could be destructive to my life. So it's very, very important to take responsibility when problems occur. Now, if you do the examination, you find that, that was mostly them other folks, them other people, and that was not really all on me. Sometimes we may get into that situation, but okay, then, all right, so what can you do that would be most helpful to the situation to help solve that problem? But we do have to take responsibility because sometimes it is our fault. And sometimes we did contribute to the problem, but you have to be open to that. And I know it's not easy, but you got to do it if you want to manage and deal with your problems in a successful way. The next thing is to what I call practicing the pause. And I actually have a whole video on that. Check it out. So when we practice the pause, what we're doing is that we're de-escalating the situation. So sometimes when a problem arises, let's say if it's in the workplace, if it's in our family, someone's, freaking out, there's a situation with our kids or with our spouse or, with our boss or, with our neighbor, or whatever it is. And instantly what we want to do, we want to react. Somebody said something to you, somebody got under your skin, somebody even lied on you, some situation occurred that was out of pocket, out of order, and you just want to jump right in and correct it, jump right in and just say something before you send that email, before you open your mouth, before you want to take charge of that situation. Pause. Take a pause. Take a deep breath. It could save your life. I can't even tell you how many times respecting the pause and taking the pause have saved me from embarrassment, from putting my foot in the mouth, from making the situation worse, or really blowing up the problem to a point where, or even creating a situation that could have ruined a relationship, a whole relationship, or an opportunity for myself. Respect the pause. So when something happens, don't be reactive. Take a few seconds, take a pause and think. I know sometimes you're overcome with anger and we want to get people back and we want to say something, but we want to send that email or that text. Take a pause and think, all right, let me just sit on this for a few minutes, think about what I'm going to say, or even if what happened warrants a reaction right then and there. So when you take a pause, it gives you time to evaluate the situation. It gives you time to think about and plan about how you should react, and it stops you from doing something stupid. It stops you from doing something rash. It stops you from doing something that you will probably regret. So please respect the pause, because respecting the pause helps us to deal with problems. This is such a big and helpful strategy. I can't even tell you how many times it's helped me in my life. So respect the pause. The next thing is, this is a very important thing, is to remember your faith. Remember that whatever situation, whatever problem we experience in our lives, God has the solution to it all. So we don't have to take the burden on ourselves. We don't have to stress ourselves out unnecessarily. Just know that there is a God that exists that has the solution and the answer to every problem that a human being could possibly experience on this earth. There isn't nothing that God hasn't seen. There isn't nothing that God doesn't know. So I want you to take comfort in that whatever you're going through, whether it's big or small, whether it's the worst thing you've ever experienced in your life, just know that God will see you through, and just know that God has the answer and the solution. And sometimes it doesn't happen overnight. Sometimes we have to wait. Sometimes the answer is not going to be right in front of us at the moment. We're going to have to go through a process to get there. But just know, and sometimes God will just immediately just lift it, just immediately just take the situation and the problem away. But just know that if we trust and we put our faith in God, that He has a solution. And that's why we have to be connected and plugged into God. And that takes me to the fifth strategy and thing that we need to think about is be ready. Be ready. Many of my videos and much of my content is about helping you to grow spiritually and helping you to basically be ready. So that means that, and I always talk about doing the spiritual work. This is critical to our life. This is critical to managing problems, is being ready. And part of that readiness is putting in that spiritual work, making sure that we are strong spiritually, making sure that we are strong emotionally, psychologically. See, because when you start to work on the spiritual stuff, then the other stuff will begin to be taken care of. When you put your focus on spiritual growth, you begin to get stronger emotionally. You begin to get stronger mentally, psychologically. Many things in your life is going to begin to come into order and to come into place, and to you begin to be where you feel you need to be, and you begin to feel confident in life and walking through life, and God will give you that guidance. But you have to be ready. That means every single day we have to put in a spiritual discipline. Every single day we have to do our devotion and come to God. Every single day we have to do that work so that we can be strong on the inside. So when the problems of life do come, and they're gonna come, and sometimes we go through things that are intolerable, but if you have put that work in, you will be strong and you will be able to withstand. So many people are struggling. So many people are basically collapsing. So many people are dying. So many people are going through. So many people are having breakdowns and are not able to recover. And there's so much instability in the world with people on the inside. It's because they're not doing the work. It's because they are not ready. So we have to be ready at all times in all seasons, whether it's good things that come our way or bad things that come our way. Because when we are ready, then we can manage those problems when they come. When we have put that work in, when we have been praying, when we have been meditating, we have been fasting, when we have been in the Word of God, when we have been connecting to the right people, when we have been, basically cultivating our friendships and the relationships in our lives that matter, these are the things that make us strong. So we have to make sure that we participate in them as often as possible. We have to make sure that we make a habit of them, because when that problem comes, and when the enemy shoots those fiery darts at you, and when the haters come to you, and when people that the jealous people and the narcissists and all characters that we have, the wolves in sheep's clothing, all those characters come in our midst and in our path, we'll be able to, number one, identify them. Number two, we'll be strong enough to deal with the attacks of people, strong enough to deal with the attacks on our lives, and to deal with circumstances that are out of our control. And this is where the wisdom will come, and this is where the knowledge will come, is when we put in that work. But if you're not doing the work, if you are spiritually dead, If you are spiritually passive, if you're not thinking about your spirituality, you need to do it. You need to do it right now, because we live in a world right now where there's just so many issues and there's so many problems, and there are things that are geopolitically and things that are happening that are awful in the world right now. And this has an impact on us too. But when we're strong, we'll be able to deal with the things that are personal and the things that are also happening in the world that has an impact on us, because we're not in this alone. So those were the things that I wanted to share with you that would help you to be more of a success in dealing with and managing your problems. I just pray that you're able to take these strategies and apply them to your life, and that they will be a blessing to you. I know this is something that I practice all the time when issues come my way, and they've been highly, highly helpful and effective strategies. And I hope that they will bless your life too. Once again, thank you for joining me in another video, and I will see you in the next one. Take care and God bless.